The individual who broke into your home that night, you had never seen him before,
That is correct.
so you didn't recognize him?
No.
You didn't know his name?
No.
You later learned who he was, though, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And had you been told previously by Ms. Janik that she had had a relationship with Mr. Letendre?
No.
She never told you that?
No.
She never told you that she'd had a fling with her boss during your breakup earlier in 2022?
No.
So let me start off with the point where you say you heard something smash, some type of glass breaking up in the bedroom. You know which point I'm talking about?
Yes.
And during your interview with the police, you said it sounded like a beer bottle, but you guys don't drink beer, so that didn't make sense, correct?
I said I assumed it was a beer bottle because of the smash.
But then you pretty much quickly said, no, that doesn't make sense because we don't drink beer.
Correct.
Then you said, well, maybe it was maybe it was a light bulb.
Yes.
Okay, but at the time you were interviewed by the police, you really weren't sure what had smashed?
Correct. I was unsure.
Now, you later learned that that was actually Brooke Janik, your girlfriend, smashing him over the head with a glass bong, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's what seemingly started Mr. Letendre bleeding quite profusely, correct?
Yes.
Bleeding from his head.
Yes.
Now, you testified that you were able to sort of get some type of chokehold onto Mr. Letendre, am I right?
Yes.
And at some point you were able to actually sort of break free from him and escape the bedroom, am I right?
Yes.
Now, when you ran out of the bedroom, if you kept going straight across the hallway, that would have been into the girls' room, am I right?
Yes.
Instead, you took a right, went down the stairs.
Yes.
And when you got to the bottom of the stairs, Mr. Letendre was still upstairs.
No.
Well, who got downstairs first?
Me.
So Mr. Letendre was behind you.
Correct.
Okay, so when you left the bedroom, he was still in the bedroom.
Yes.
And when you started going down the stairs, he was still in the bedroom.
When I started going down the stairs, he was up, trailing me out of the bedroom, trailing me going down the stairs.
Okay. And so he was closer to your girls than you were.
For a brief period.
So when you get to the bottom of the stairs, you went for a muzzle loader that was laying on top of your toolbox, am I right?
Yes.
And you actually had to, during the struggle, break it open and dump out the primer so it wouldn't fire, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so prior to that, it was capable of being fired.
Yes.
And you'd left it on top of the toolbox,
Yes.
so it hadn't been secured. Wasn't
Objection
locked up?
Sustained.
All right,
Move
so
to strike. That will be stricken.
all right, so just so we're clear, though, on top of the toolbox, there was your loaded muzzle loader weapon.
Objection.
I'll let you have that.
Am I right?
Yes.
After you'd snapped it open and dumped out the primer, you then reached for a shotgun,
After some time.
Mhm.
Yes.
and that was in a closet?
Yes.
Okay. And you knew it was there?
I didn't know.
Well, if you didn't know it was there, why did you open the closet?
There was multiple guns in the closet.
Okay. Loaded?
Unclear.
What do you mean?
I did not know.
So you knew there were multiple, when you say multiple weapons in the closet, tell us about that.
Multiple means more than one.
Well, yes, but can you expand on that?
There was multiple guns in the closet. It's just that simple. There was multiple guns in the closet.
Are we talking 2, 3, 5, 10?
I'm unclear.
What kind?
All long guns. That is all I know.
You lived pretty much mostly full-time in this house, correct?
Yes.
Were these your weapons?
Some of them.
And you can't tell us, sitting here today, how many were in there, even though you owned them and you lived there?
Yes.
Yes, you can, or yes, you can't?
I cannot.
So the shotgun that you actually grabbed, was that yours?
No.
And you said that it was kind of a rickety, barely held together shotgun?
Yes.
Did you know that when you grabbed it?
No.
You quickly discovered, though, that it wasn't in good shape.
Yes.
It ended up breaking apart during your struggle with Mr. Letendre.
Yes.
So, we've talked about the muzzle loader, we've talked about the shotgun. Let's talk about the revolver. You also had a revolver in the house, correct?
Correct.
Objection.
No, I mean, you can have that question.
So you did have a revolver in the house,
Yes.
and that was yours,
Yes.
and it was loaded,
Yes.
and it was on the kitchen countertop,
Yes.
and you'd left it there,
Yes.
along with your keys.
Yes.
During your interview with the police, you talked about how when you come into the house, you tend to just sort of empty your pockets and dump everything out, correct?
Yes.
And is that the place where you typically just dump things out,
Yes.
including your keys and a revolver?
Yes.
And the 6-hour?
Would not be carrying two weapons at the same time.
So after you'd struggled with Mr. Letendre over the muzzle loader and over the shotgun, you testified that the struggle sort of gravitated over toward the kitchen area, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got to the kitchen area, your loaded revolver was on the countertop, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you'd left it there when?
I'm unsure of that.
Was it the last time you'd come in the house?
No.
Was it there for some time?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as exhibit number 23. Can you see that photo, sir?
Yes.
This is your kitchen area, am I right?
Yes.
And the countertop we're talking about, zooming in, it's over on the right-hand side, correct?
Yes.
And closer up view, exhibit number 25. This is the shotgun that you grabbed out of the closet, am I right?
Yes.
And the revolver is right here where my cursor is.
Yes.
So when you ended up in that area of the kitchen battling Mr. Letendre, that revolver was right there on the countertop within arm's reach of you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But during your interview with the police, you said that you actually went for the 6-hour, which was somewhere else, am I right?
Yes.
You said that it was up above, not in the cabinets, but you said it was up above the cabinets?
Yes.
So showing you exhibit number 23. Keep doing that, excuse me. Exhibit number 23. You've got these suspended or elevated cabinets, correct?
Yes.
And you testified, excuse me, I believe you told the police during your interview that in order to reach up there to get the firearm, you actually had to climb up onto the countertop to reach. Am I right?
No, I was referring to something else.
Well, when they asked you where the 6-hour came from, you said that it was up above the kitchen cabinets, and to get above the kitchen cabinets, you've got to climb up on the countertop. Am I right?
If you needed both your hands to carry the object and hold the object, you would need to climb onto the counter, but you can reach the top of the counter standing. I can reach the top of the counter
Okay.
standing,
So
top
that-
of the cabinet.
That's your memory of what you told the police.
Yes.
And you knew heading into that kitchen area which cabinet top your 6-hour was stashed on top of?
Yes.
And how did you know that?
Because that was a common place for it to be.
So who would commonly put your 6-hour on top of the kitchen cabinets?
Objection. Can I see that part?
you can rephrase your question.
Thank you. How did you know where your Sig Sauer was in the kitchen?
It was a common place for it to be.
Okay. Had you put it there last?
I do not know.
Which countertop or which cabinet was it stashed above? Can you point it out for us, please?
Not the first cabinet door or the second, but in line with above the third cabinet door.
So you're talking like over here on the right, sort of above where the Tostitos are?
Roughly.
So your testimony is that when you were cornered in the kitchen, you reached up above this countertop here, right about in the area where this crock pot is and this smiley Halloween-y type thing?
Yes.
You're saying that was a common place to stash your Sig Sauer?
Yes.
And you were able to reach all the way up there from the floor, is your testimony?
It's asked to answer judge's objection.
I'll let you have it.
That's your testimony, sir?
Yes.
And you don't recall telling the police you had to climb up onto the countertop to reach there?
I do recall saying that.
So once you get the Sig Sauer down from on top of the cabinets, it's already loaded?
Yes.
It's got 10 rounds in the magazine?
Unsure.
Well, fully loaded?
Unsure.
With hollow tipped rounds?
Yes.
You had loaded those into the weapon, correct?
Yes.
You shoot Mr. Letendre in his torso, correct?
Yes.
So you're holding the gun, am I right? Were you holding it with your right hand?
No.
So you're holding it with your left hand.
Correct.
Are you left-handed?
No.
Which hand did you use to fire it?
My left.
So you shot with your left hand,
Yes.
even though you're right-handed.
Yes.
Why is that?
I grabbed it with my left hand.
Okay. So you reach up, so you're facing Mr. Letendre, you reach up, you grab it off the top of the counter, the cabinet, with your left hand,
Yes.
you bring it down with your left hand,
Yes.
and how do you point it? How do you shoot?
I removed the holster with my right hand and pointed it at him and shot him.
So you had the time to take the firearm out of the holster, but you didn't then transfer it to your dominant hand?
I had the holster in my other hand.
And you shot him with your left hand,
Yes.
and where was he, how was he oriented to you?
He was facing me.
Facing you, okay. So he's facing you and you shoot him with your left hand.
Yes.
You say he fell to the ground on his back, am I right?
Yes.
And he didn't bounce back up, am I right?
Yes.
I'm right, he did not bounce up.
Yes.
Okay. Was he moaning at that point?
Yes.
Was he moving in any way?
Yes.
How so?
He was moving his arms, his legs, his entire body. He was changing position from his back to one side to the other, onto his stomach, all in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm. But he never regained his feet.
At that moment.
Fair to say he was squirming on the ground?
Yes.
Squirming and moaning.
Yes.
And bleeding?
I don't know.
You didn't see any blood coming out of him at that point?
No.
And your testimony is that at that point he looked at you and said, did he say that he would need a lawyer or you would need a lawyer?
He said the words, "I need an attorney."
Okay. Meaning he needed an attorney.
Him.
But then he said, I'm going to kill you, meaning you.
Yes.
So at that point, with him squirming and moaning on the ground, you left the kitchen.
Yes.
And when you left the kitchen, you walked away from him, turning your back to him, am I right?
No.
No? Well, you backed out of the kitchen?
I maintained looking at him as I got out of the kitchen.
And which way did you get out of the kitchen?
I stepped sideways along the counter.
Mm-hmm. This countertop here?
Yes.
So you're saying you basically backed away from him by walking in this photo from toward the right?
Yes.
Through the little alcove underneath the stairs?
Yes.
And at that point, you went outside to check on Brooke.
Yes.
So is it fair to say that when you left him in the kitchen, moaning and squirming on the ground with a gunshot wound, you felt as though you had neutralized the threat at that point?
Yes.
So much so that you left the house with the girls still upstairs. That is what you did, correct?
Yes.
And when you left Mr. Letendre, whose name you didn't know at the point, right? You didn't know who it was.
I did not.
When you left him in the kitchen, you left the shotgun barrel that he had been holding at some point right on the floor next to him, am I right?
Yes.
Showing you here in exhibit number 23, you'd agree with me that it's lying in this photo to the right of his body, correct?
Yes.
And he had used that during your struggle with him, sort of as a weapon or a club?
Yes.
Struck you with it?
Yes.
And you left it right near his squirming, moaning body.
Yes.
You also left your loaded revolver on the countertop right next to Mr. Letendre.
Yes.
And you left him in the kitchen alone.
Yes.
After you go outside to check on Brooke, you then go back into the house, am I right?
Yes.
Where's the 6 hour at this point?
I have the 6 hour.
Okay. You never put it down on the rail, did you?
I don't believe so.
So you lied to the police about that.
It was unclear at the time.
Well, did you say I'm unclear, or did you say, yeah, I put it on the rail and I believe it left it there the whole time?
That was my memory at the time.
You go upstairs, you poke your head into the room where the girls are, correct?
Yes.
You put some pants on at that point.
Yes.
You then bring some items outside to Brooke, am I right?
Yes.
What did you bring her?
Shoes.
Okay. And again, you're leaving the house. Girls are upstairs. Mr. Letender's still in the kitchen, correct?
Yes.
You hadn't gone back into the kitchen to check on him to make sure he hadn't gotten up, am I right?
Correct.
How many times did you go in and out of the house before the police got there?
I don't know.
So you've gone into the house to get some pants on, correct?
Yes.
You left the house to bring Brooke some, was it boots you said?
Shoes.
Shoes. You go back into the house now. Now you're back in the house. And you decided not to scoop up the girls and leave the house, am I right?
Yes.
And there were multiple vehicles in the driveway, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And you had the keys, or you had access to more than one vehicle in the driveway, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you did not scoop up the girls, leave the house.
Jesse, come to the side door.
What you did grab when you went back inside the house was your cell phone, am I right?
Yes.
And you picked up your phone thinking you should probably call somebody at this point, am I right?
Yes.
And did you sort of go through some options in your mind in terms of who might be a good person to call at this moment?
No.
No, you pretty much had made your mind up.
Yes.
You thought it would be good to call your boss,
Yes.
and his name is Brian Campidelli, somewhat coincidentally.
Yes.
Okay. And you called Brian Campidelli, spoke with him for about 2.5 minutes.
Yes.
You told him what had happened.
Yes.
And did he give you some advice over the phone, or not until after you'd hung up and he started texting you?
Through text message.
Okay. And one of the text messages he sent you in which you read was, make sure you take some pictures for evidence of your own, correct?
Yes.
And you read that advice, am I right?
Yes.
You thought about that advice?
Yes.
You decided that was good advice?
Yes.
Then you decided to follow the advice?
Yes.
So you were into evidence collection mode at this point, fair to say?
Objection.
I mean, you can have that.
Yes.
The first photo you took with your cell phone was of Johnathan Letendre lying on the floor, am I right?
Yes.
Showing you exhibit number 68, you agree with me that this is the picture that you took with your cell phone?
Yes.
And in this photograph, you'd agree that Mr. Letendre is now lying face down on the ground, correct?
Yes.
He's holding his left hand to the back of his head, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever see the gashes or wounds on the back of his head?
I did.
You did. Showing you a picture that was taken during his autopsy. And is that the location and the appearance, give or take, of the wounds you saw on Mr. Letendre's head that night?
Yeah.
Objection, may we
He's
come?
about to answer, Your Honor.
There's an objection, so let me see the sidebar.
Sir, let me clarify a little bit. You testified that Brooke, your girlfriend, had struck Mr. Letendre over the head with a glass bong, correct?
Yes.
And that cut his head,
Yes.
and he started bleeding.
Yes.
Okay. And during your interactions with Mr. Letendre that evening, you saw him bleeding from his head?
Yes.
You saw the wounds on his head?
Yes.
And showing you this photograph, is this not only the location, but the appearance of the wounds that you saw on his head?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit this, please.
All right. That will be our next exhibit.
No
Exhibit
objection.
number 85.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I publish it to the jury?
You may.
Displaying it. Now, when you took this picture of Mr. Letendre on your cell phone, Exhibit 68, was he moving at this point?
No.
Was he speaking?
No.
After taking this picture, you then left the kitchen again, am I right?
Yes.
You did not move that shotgun barrel.
No.
You did not move the loaded revolver.
No.
You once again left Mr. Letendre in the kitchen near those items.
Yes.
You then went upstairs to continue following Mr. Campidelli's advice, am I right?
Yes.
And that's when you took the 4 other photos that are shown in Exhibit 84, am I right?
Yes.
You took a picture of your bedroom floor, the linoleum tile in your bedroom, the entrance to the girls' room, and the hallway, the stairwell, correct?
Yes.
And do you remember the order in which you took those photos?
From the picture of Johnathan
Yes.
to up the stairs, and then the pictures of my bedroom, then the picture of the girl's door is my memory.
Okay. Would you mind, please, just putting numbers next to each photo in terms of your memory of the order in which you took them?
Objection.
No, you can do that. You may have that.
All set? From the moment you snapped the photo of Johnathan Letendre on the floor, how long would you say it took you to go upstairs, take these 4 photos, and then come back down?
A minute.
Okay. So 1 minute for the taking of the 5 photos, fair to say?
Yes.
And I believe your testimony was that while you're upstairs taking photos in your bedroom and in the hallway and in the stairwell, Mr. Letendre is still downstairs. You don't have eyes on him at this point, correct?
No.
And Brooke is outside. You don't have eyes on her either.
Yes.
Your testimony this morning, correct me if I'm wrong, is that after you took the 5 photos in that minute or so, you then went outside where Brooke was.
Yes.
And she was still on the phone with 911.
Yes.
And it was at that time that 911 dispatcher was asking some questions through Brooke, and you were answering some questions, a little bit of conversation there, correct?
Yes.
And that's when the dispatcher was asking some questions about where in the body was Johnathan shot. Do you remember that question?
Yes.
And you remember answering, I don't fucking care, dude, I don't know.
Yes.
And the dispatcher was asking some other questions about Jonathan's condition, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever hear the dispatcher say, I want Brian to go back inside the house and check on Johnathan?
No.
Did Brooke ever ask you to go back inside the house and check on Johnathan?
Yes.
Brooke asked you to do that,
Yes.
and you're saying that's on the 911 call?
I believe so.
And because she asked you to go check on the person who had tried to murder you, you decided to go inside and check on him?
At the request of the state police.
I thought you just said a moment ago the state police didn't ask you to do that.
She was communicating with the state police. She was in between me and the state police on the phone.
And so she told you, Brian, the state police want you to go inside the house and check on this guy?
She said they need to know,
They need to know what?
referring to the 911 operator's questions
Okay.
of his status, what he's doing, and where he may have been shot.
And at this point, you're outside the house
On the deck.
with your girlfriend,
Yes.
with your firearm,
Yes.
and you could have once again said, I don't fucking care, dude. You could have
Yeah.
said that.
Yes.
But you felt that you were compelled to go inside and do a check on him?
Yes.
Now, I'd like to ask you some questions about your decision to shoot Mr. Letendre in the head. First off, you saw some photos and some testimony about a pair of handcuffs inside Mr. Letendre's pants, correct?
Yes.
You never saw those handcuffs that night, did you?
No.
He never used them or took them out during your struggle, am I right?
Yes.
So when you decided to shoot him in the head, the handcuffs didn't play a part in that decision-making process, correct?
It was not a decision-making process.
Well, that wasn't my question. When you shot Mr. Letendre in the head,
Objection, yes, it was the question.
Well, hold on. Let him-
at the moment you shot him in the head, you had no idea about any handcuffs, correct?
No,
So that didn't factor into your shooting of him in the head.
it did not.
Similarly, with the decorative, or call it what you will, knife that was found the next day inside his jacket, you never saw that knife that night, correct?
Correct.
He never took it out, waved it at you, tried to stab you with it?
Correct.
So at the moment you shot him in the head, that knife really was not a factor in your mind.
Correct.
Now, it's your testimony today that Mr. Letendre sort of was pushing himself up off the floor with his hands,
Yes.
and would you say it was from roughly his waist up that he was able to lift his upper body off the floor?
His legs as well.
His legs as well? So
Yes.
was he doing, so was it like a push-up that he was doing?
Yes.
So he was able to maintain, like his legs were straight, his body was straight, and he was basically pushing himself up like a push-up.
Not a perfect push-up position. I believe from his knees down were still on the ground.
Okay. He never made it back up to his feet, did he?
No.
Did you consider running toward him and kicking him in the head?
No.
Did you consider reaching him down, picking up that shotgun barrel that he'd hit you with, and just smashing him across the back?
No.
Did you consider driving your knee into his back and holding him down?
No.
Did you consider stepping on his neck and applying pressure?
No.
Instead, you decided to put him down, right?
No.
Well, when you had your Sig Sauer out, you had a number of places on his body where you could have shot him at that point, correct?
I did not have time to choose where I was going to shoot him. I just shot at him.
And are you saying you just happened to hit him in the head?
Yes.
Weren't you standing over him when you shot him?
No.
How close would you say you were?
10 to 15 feet.
Okay. So let's say this barrel here is Mr. Letendre, okay? Are you saying, actually just stop me when I get to the distance. First of all, was this your right hand now?
No.
You shot him the second time with your left hand,
Yes.
non-dominant hand.
Yes.
Stop me when I'm at the distance you were.
About there.
So for the record, I'm just past the jury rail. You're saying that from this distance with your non-dominant hand, you point to the 6 Sauer at Johnathan Letendre and you hit him in the upper top back part of his head,
Yes.
which would mean his head was facing away from you, wasn't it?
No.
Help me understand this. How was his head?
His head was, once again, in a push-up position. Push up. Head looking down at the ground, roughly where your hands are.
Yeah, so if you fired from that distance and that angle, you would have shot him in the left temple, wouldn't you?
No.
You'd agree with me that in the picture that you took of Johnathan Letendre, let me pull it up again on the screen. Exhibit 68, I believe. You're saying that from this position, he started to do a push-up,
Yes,
and you were standing pretty much almost maybe where you took the photo from, correct?
incorrect.
Oh, where were you?
I was in the other side of the dining room.
Oh, so you shot him from the dining room. Is this the first time you've ever said that?
No,
When did you say it before?
with meeting with my lawyer.
So you're saying that when you were speaking with the police for an hour and 8 minutes that morning, this is when you say you were having a hard time defining the 2 times I shot him.
Yes,
And at the time you were speaking with them at the barracks, your mind was just so jumbled that you couldn't remember standing 15 feet away from him and shooting him in the top of his head with your non-dominant hand? You had no memory of that?
yes,
So you're saying that his eyes were looking down at the ground when you shot him?
correct.
You told the police that you weren't sure if you'd shot Mr. Letendre once or twice, correct?
Correct.
And that wasn't true, was it?
It is what I believed at the time.
You told police that if you did shoot him twice, it was in rapid succession. You remember that?
Yes,
And that wasn't true either, was it?
that is what I believed at the time.
So at the time you were speaking with police, you could not remember there being over an 8-minute gap between the time you shot him in the torso to the time you shot him in the head.
That's correct.
But you remembered everything else in between, didn't you? You remember going upstairs to get clothes on, correct?
Correct.
You remember getting some shoes for Brooke and bringing them outside, correct?
Correct.
You told them that detail, am I right?
Yes.
You told the police that you called Brian Campanelli, correct?
Yes.
So all these other details in that 8-minute and 37-second span, you remembered.
Yes.
And when they asked you about the second shot, oh, suddenly jumbly, blurry memory?
Not suddenly, but yes.
The police specifically asked you if, when you went back into the house, you shot the gun a second time, correct?
Yes.
And you said you hadn't done that,
Correct.
and that wasn't true.
That is what I believed at the time.
So you believe that you hadn't shot twice?
I was unclear whether I had shot him once or twice, and I believed that if I did shoot him twice, that it was one event in rapid succession. That is what I believed at the time.
All right, so when you told the police that after the first shot you would put the gun on the railing outside on the deck, that never happened, did it?
If it did, it was brief when I went outside for a few seconds and saw Brooke, and then I grabbed it when I went back inside.
Right, but when you told the police you left it there, that wasn't true.
It is what I believed at the time.
So did you invent that memory?
No.
You told the police that you did not go back into the kitchen to check on Mr. Letendre, correct?
I did not go back into the kitchen.
My question is, you told the police, they asked you, did you go back inside the kitchen to check on Johnathan? Remember them asking you that?
Yes.
And you said you didn't.
Yes.
And you're saying technically you didn't because you stayed 15 feet away from him as you shot him?
In a separate room that was not the kitchen.
So you were parsing your answers, you had the mental clarity to parse your answers like that?
No.
You told the police that if you ever did something like he had done, you'd hope someone would put you down too, correct?
Yes.
So is that what you believe? You put him down?
No.
You didn't tell the police that after shooting Mr. Letendre one time, you took photos of him, correct?
Correct.
Were you hiding that detail from the police?
No.
You told them that you'd used your phone to call Mr. Campanelli, correct?
Yes.
You didn't think it was relevant that you had taken a picture of dying Johnathan Letendre with your phone?
No.
Why'd you hide that from them?
I did not hide
Objection.
that from them.
Sustained.
Did you think that you'd done something wrong by taking that picture and that's why you didn't want to tell the police?
No.
You never told the police that you shot Johnathan Letendre in the head, did you?
I did not.
You never told the police that the two shots were minutes and minutes and minutes apart, did you?
I did not.
Toward the end of the interview, the police asked you if there was anything else you wanted to tell them, correct?
Correct.
Or anything else they hadn't asked you about, correct?
Correct.
This was another opportunity, another chance for you to step up and admit the second shot, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you take that opportunity to tell them about the second shot?
No.
Sitting here today, do you agree that instead of shooting him in the head, you could have run over and kicked him in the head?
Objection.
Sustained.
No.
You don't have to answer that question.
Oh.
It was sustained, so strike that answer.
Sorry.
Sitting here today, do you regret putting him down?
Objection.
Sustained.
Nothing further.
Any redirect?
No.
All right, sir, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.